Hello, Bron again. Here's another easy little bag you can make. This is a 12-inch square from FabMo. Now these squares have serged edges, and this one is pretty much the same on both sides. You can do this another way too, I'll tell you about that later, but this is just a really simple thing. If you get your 12-inch square and divide it into 3, so that would be like a 4-inch corner. So I measure 4 inches from the corner and fold the corner over. Do the same on all 4 corners, and you end up with this shape. Then you sew a seam. I leave a 3/4 of an inch seam. This has to be wide enough that you can thread a ribbon through here. So don't make it too narrow. I made that mistake already, so you don't have to. About 3/4 of an inch. Now you don't have to mark this. I've just marked this so you can see it clearly. Press it down if you want to, and then stitch 3/4 of an inch around, and this catches these little flaps. 3/4 of an inch all around. That's all the sewing you have to do. Then, with 2 long pieces of ribbon, here's another piece. This is silk. It's pretty much the same on both sides as well. You thread one thread through this channel back, and I've put a little bead on here and tied it in a knot, and then another piece. Now these pieces are, just measure it, make sure, because depending on how big your piece of fabric is, your corner is going to be 1/3 of the measurement of the length. Another piece, make sure you've got enough to go all the way around, and thread it around the other way. Now when you've done that, you can turn this upside down and pull the drawstrings, and you end up with a little pouchy bag that has these little petals. Now if you make your fabric any smaller, it's not going to hold much. This will hold a small gift, like a lip salve or lipstick or something like that. And then you can tie a bow, and this makes a nice, oops, that's not a very good bow. You'll tie a better bow than this. When you've tied your decorative bow, you have a nice little container that you can use for a gift, little pouch. Now if you have 2 squares that are contrasting, make sure it's big enough, sew them together, right sides together, turn it inside out and press it, and then you have your square, which is one side has one fabric and the other side has the other. That looks like, how about like this? This is fabric on one side and a liner on the other. Now I want this to be my bag, so I have this face up, and I have sewn around these edges. Now I'm going to thread, and I've threaded one through here. I'm going to do the other one on the other side. I have one of these things. You can thread it with anything that you would thread elastic with. You know, a big safety pin works. This is one of these things to thread elastic in pants. So I'm going to go on this side. Oops, I had that tied up so it didn't fray. This is parachute cord, but you can use anything you have. Right, I'm going to start on the opposite side, and I'm going to thread my cord through this hole, through the next one. This is very flexible, so you can pull it out. Thread it through this one. This one, I'm going to pull it out of its threader, pull the threader out. Now I have my cords opposite each other. This is sticking to me. I'm going to finish that when I'm done. Now I have cords on both sides. I'm going to turn it over this way, and I'm going to pull the drawstrings. So these little things can go inside. This way your little pouch has coloured petals on it. Same size, just looks different because it's got these accents on it. Again, just make your, however you want to make your bow. Actually, it's probably a good idea to tie a knot first. And there you have another little bag. The contrasting one looks cute, but the self one looks fine too. It's really easy, hardly any sewing, and you can use up relatively small scraps. You could piece them together too. But they're quite fun to make, and they're good to put little gifts in. Hope you make some.